Good morning. Good morning. If you're sitting all the way in the back, I don't think we're going to be full today, so just come up a couple rows. It's nice for our speakers to see faces. You guys, I'm looking around the room. Nobody looks super hungover yet, so I think we're good. If you're sitting all the way in the back, come up a couple rows. I don't think we're going to be full, and we will get started momentarily. In fact, I think we're about to get started probably right now. Is it 58? We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes. How's everybody's Dreamforce been? Woo! This is my 8th Dreamforce. I've been here at Salesforce for a minute or two. This is my 8th Dreamforce, so I was here when Salesforce was 1,100 employees, and now we're like 13,000 employees or something like that. So times, they are a-changin'. I think we're probably ready to get started. It looks like the door is closed, so I think we're ready. Welcome to today's session, Apps to Help Your Sales Soar. I was looking for a wind beneath your wings reference, but I couldn't come up with one, so we're just going to have to go forward. You've all seen this, right? Everybody seen this? Yeah. We're a publicly traded company, though, so if there's stuff that we talk about today that you would be interested in, don't buy our stock about that. That's not a good idea. So here's me. I'm Graham Clark. I am Senior Success Architect. Generally, what that means is that I'm responsible for success for my customers. I've been here at Salesforce for about 7 years, and I'm really happy to introduce our fantastic speakers today. We've got 2 great speakers, and the best part about today's session is that I don't have to talk for very long. We're going to introduce them in a moment and get started. So first things first, when you look at sales apps to help your sales soar, we've got the AppExchange, and there are so many apps out there. Things to plug into your organization, all kinds of things. We've got apps for every department, and we have them for every price point, and we have them supported, and we have them unsupported. We have them for sales and marketing and service and so many different parts of what you, our customers, use Salesforce for. There is a game, if you're interested in games. Some people like playing games. So there is a fantastic matchapps.cool game. You can go there and you can check it out. It's pretty neat. And so really today we're going to talk about sales, apps for sales. And most importantly, not from my viewpoint, but from our customers' viewpoint. We, for all of these sessions that you see at Dreamforce, we tell our customers stories because they are much more convincing than me just blabbing on here for a while. They are the people that live with these things. They do this every day, and they make this stuff successful. And they make it successful through the AppExchange with the apps that they've purchased. So I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Diane Grazer from IGT, who is going to be walking us through an awesome story of a day in the life of one of her sales reps.
Thanks, Graham. So as Graham mentioned, I'm from IGT. We're a gaming company. We are the leader in gaming technology and slot operations. That means that we sell a lot of slot machines to a lot of casinos worldwide. We also provide them with gaming systems that help them manage their slot floors. In addition, we are involved in online wagering and social gaming. If you don't recognize our company, perhaps you might recognize some of our brands. If you've ever been in a casino, we operate Megabucks and Wheel of Fortune, 2 of our most popular brands. And if you're maybe more of a gamer in Facebook, you might have visited our Double Down Casino, which was rated as the #2 grossing app in the App Center for Facebook last year. When we embarked upon our goal of streamlining our opportunity to order process for our sales teams, our main goal was to provide an increase in customer face time, to give them back hours in their week in order to focus on customer-facing activities. And by doing that, we focused on 3 areas. One was efficiency. We wanted to eliminate their need to search for information across the company. In addition, we wanted to provide them with improved improve the manual worksheets and forms and administrative tasks that they were required to do in order to place an order or complete anything in the company. And ultimately, we wanted to provide them with all the tools and all of the information that they needed on a mobile device so that when they were in the field, they could perform their jobs more efficiently. So the first thing we did was we looked at the App Store or the AppExchange to find what apps were available there that could help us meet our needs and improve our process gaps. So let me show you a few of the things that we were able to implement. First of all, let me say that we, what sales team doesn't like sales contests, so we implemented Level 11, which is a gamification software. So I'm going to take you through this process. I'm going to assume that I'm a sales rep and that I am just short of being at the top of the leaderboard, and I wanted to see what I can do to close deals quickly so that I can push myself over the top and take the leadership position. The first thing we did was look for a marketing automation software solution, and we chose Marketo. So if I'm a sales rep and I want to close deals fast, all I need to do now is I need to go to my Marketo Sales Insight screen, and it tells me immediately which leads are have the highest potential for me to close those deals. In the past, they were left to follow up on every contact that we were sent a campaign to. This way they can focus in their activities on those that are going to provide them with the best potential. It also helped us focus our marketing campaigns also, so that it actually helped us to provide more qualified opportunities into our sales funnels. So by this screen, all I have to do is look. If I have 3 flames and 3 stars, I've got the hottest potential lead there. And the flames and the stars refer to how old that lead is and what's the quality of the engagement that contact had with our campaign. It also tells them what campaign they were interested in. So then I can take those leads and say, okay, what am I going to do with them next? Well, being a gaming company, we are highly regulated, and we hold licenses in 350 jurisdictions that each have their own regulations. So providing the information related to what new products were coming out in our sales teams was a bit of a challenge, and they generally had to search for a lot of information in order to get the information they needed. We wanted a solution that would provide them the information on the new products being released in their jurisdictions simply and easily with only their information. So we really looked to Savo to solve that solution for us. And what Savo was able to do was provide us a way to send an alert to our sales teams for their jurisdictions whenever a product was approved. This was phenomenal because on their mobile device, they would get an alert that gave them all the materials they would need to present that product to the customer. Imagine the power of sitting in front of a customer and an alert comes through that tells you have a new product approved in their jurisdiction. You can present it to them right at the same time with all the materials you need to do that. In addition, if you're preparing for that customer visit, our sales teams would have to do a lot of searching again to bring together a presentation. And in the mobile screens of Savo, it allows them to have presentation kits that are already built by marketing and approved customer messaging, so that all of your sales teams have the customer messaging that they consistent across the board. And all they have to do is click and drag those slides to present a focus on what their customer meeting is about. Very simple and easy. And the best part about it is they can do it offline. And that was really important to our customers because being casinos, a lot of them block internet signals and you're not able to get that within the properties. So being able to work offline and present those materials to the customer was key for us. One last thing with Savo is that it also updates when there's a change to those market materials. It updates all the presentation kits automatically. It also allows for sales coaching within the opportunity screens. So if you have new employees, they can easily be guided through the sales process and what they need to do to move that opportunity from one stage to the next. So it was really a big benefit for us. So now I've I've got my lead, I've presented to the customer, and I've taken some orders. They want to convert some of our machines. In the past, I would have had to fill out a paper form, or I would have had to fill out an Excel spreadsheet. And generally, that was not very conducive to doing while I was traveling in the field. So I would generally wait until I got back in the office to actually enter those orders. That's delaying the sales process. So we developed within Salesforce a worksheet that they could do from their mobile device in the field. And that was a huge, huge benefit for them. But the bigger benefit actually came from our administrators. And although the sales teams probably don't know this application, we utilize DrawLoop to help us manage these documents and create the document that we needed to provide to the rest of the company. So what we did was we utilized DrawLoop. It provides you the ability to create output in Excel, PowerPoint, Word, whatever document type you'd like to do. And it automates tasks along the way too. So if there's multiple tasks, just in even saving an attachment to an opportunity, you can create a button that will automate all of those tasks for the salesman. So they just click the button and all of those tasks are automated in behind the scenes. One of the biggest things that our administrators love, though, is this is all done without HTML code or any need for a developer. In addition, we were able to take this document, and once they submit it to our back office global fulfillment teams, it automatically produced a record for them and creates their ticket so that they, on the back end, have their process automated. And again, all of this was done from the power of the administrator with no code or development required. Okay, so I've submitted some orders. I'm on my way to moving up the leaderboard, and I want to see if any orders have come in from my customers that I need to sign. In our sales departments, all of our salesmen are required to countersign all of the orders that come through from customers to finalize the contract. This was a big issue for our sales teams because when they were in the field, again, they would be getting a PDF document. They would have to go find a printer. They'd have to print it out. They'd have to sign it. They'd have to find a scanner or a fax machine to get it back to the company. And again, most of the time, that was left to do once they got into the office. So we went in search of an electronic signature application, and we found DocuSign. DocuSign is one of the premier electronic signature applications, and it's so simple and easy to use. And if you can see here, I don't know if you can see this very well, but I'm in my email, and I did get a document from a customer that I need to sign. I just need to view it. It's very simple. It brings it up, and you can quickly and easily attach your signature at the bottom of it by just clicking. Very simple, easy to use, and a big benefit for efficiency from our account executive's perspective. It also enables you from the opportunity screen to view the status of where that signature is along the way, and it alerts your customer periodically if that they have a signature, an order waiting for signature. But the biggest benefit we found is that it really did also speed up our signature process. We didn't really anticipate that because many of our customers have lengthy approval processes, but we've gotten signatures back much more quickly. In fact, we've had signatures come back within a minute of being sent out, which is phenomenal and never occurred before within our organization. Okay, so I've gotten all of my orders in, and I want to see where I stand now against my contest in the leaderboard. This is level 11, and it gives you a lot of information. It looks like I'm still a little bit out of first place, and it'll tell you when you click on it, I have $32,000 to go to catch the leader. But I know I just submitted those orders, and those are going to be coming back quickly, and that should more than enough put me over the top on the leaderboard. So this is a great way to provide competitive contests for your sales teams. You can do it based on driving additional revenue or even behavior modification. Very powerful tool. So where did this leave us at the end of the day? We did increase customer face time by double digits. We, sped up the process of signing orders. We provided the information to the AMs all on their mobile devices so that they're much more efficient in the field. And on top of it, the amount of time we saved them was equivalent to hiring an additional 3 or 4 additional full-time salespeople, which was phenomenal. But more importantly, how do we gauge how transformational this was for our sales teams? Well, I can tell you that many of our salespeople will come up to us in the hallway and say, you must really love your jobs because you are changing lives. And they really feel that these implementations that we've been able to do have transformed the way that they perform their jobs and have made it much more efficient and more easy for them. So I would encourage you to look to the AppExchange to find those applications that can fill the gaps in your processes to make your sales teams more efficient. Thank you.
That is a fantastic story. I really appreciate that. Next, we have Mary Beth Gargani, who's going to be telling their transformational story. So, Mary Beth?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Beth Gargani, and I work for Aesynt, which is a pharmacy automation solutions company located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. For the most part, we exist to help customers advance medication delivery. And by that, we build robots, and we actually manufacture cabinets that exist in the hospital patient rooms. One of our main focal points in our business delivery is making sure that hospitals deliver better patient care, reducing their expenses, and actually making sure that their processes work smoother than they currently are today. Now, my role as Director of Sales Effectiveness at Aesynt is, for the most part, to make our sales reps' lives easier and more efficient and more productive. And how do I know that? Because it's on my business card. So obviously that's what I need to do every day, whether I remember to do it or not. Now, what I'd like to do this morning is tell you a little story about our company prior to the introduction of Salesforce.com and ultimately Aptus, our AppExchange partner. So we existed in an organization where, for the most part, Excel was our primary tool of management reporting. And by that I mean management forecasts, product forecasts, executive delivery of executive reports. We basically used Excel for everything. Now, I don't know about your reps in your company, but for them to be in their home offices, in probably their bunkers, in their basements, working on Excel all day is not exactly what we want them to be doing. It's not productive, it's not efficient, and for the most part it leads to errors. And I think another aspect that we did run into was the fact that in these Excel spreadsheets, they're not very collaborative. Now, we did try to get crazy and think we were being very slick by having a multi-tabbed Excel spreadsheet, but I think we all know the collaboration of that isn't really great. So, in addition to having Excel be our primary deal mechanism tool, when we looked to have deals be approved and work through our contract cycle, what we did was we used our trusty Microsoft Outlook as our vehicle to move deals through the approval process. Now, while that seemingly seems like a great thing because everyone has email today, if a sales rep did not send that email to everyone that was required to be part of the approval chain, what would happen is the deal process would be slowed down. They would be waiting for approvals. If one of the persons in the continuum of approval didn't necessarily read what someone else's tweak to the deal may look like, we've held up the contract cycle and ultimately the deal. So obviously not leading to any sort of productivity or sales effectiveness. And finally, as I said earlier, we manufacture products. So we manufacture robots and cabinets. Now, if our manufacturing wing of the business is not informed of what these deals look like, what products are included, and what configurations are required for each of the items we're producing, that holds them up relative to the shipment of those goods to our customers. So obviously not a great situation that we were under a few short months ago now at this point. So what did we do? We basically got in a room and decided we need to do something. We obviously can't exist on Excel and Microsoft Outlook forever. So we determined we needed a CRM tool. And after our business case process and all of the internal conversations that happened, we decided on Salesforce.com. Now, we didn't just decide on Salesforce.com and think, man, we made the best decision ever. But one good thing that we did do is we determined that our implementation team needed to be cross-functional. We needed to know that everyone who would be involved as a consumer of information later on down the stream had to be involved in the development of the tool. They had to be involved in the processes, the workflow changes, anything that we were looking to do, because ultimately if they had to stand behind this during adoption, they had to be involved in the making of the sausage, so to speak. So we developed and put together our implementation team. We had Salesforce.com, and we were kind of humming along pretty well. And we thought, hey, this is great. You know, we had a ton of requirements. I don't know where you guys are in your implementations, if you're kind of in the middle of that, but we had 66 pages of requirements to fulfill. Now, our IT team is fantastic. They did so much work for us and really made the sales requirements come to life. But with 66 pages of requirements, they're building a lot of capability into our tool. And as we were building this, we kept thinking, gosh, there's still some gaps. We still have some things that we can't execute, even with the Salesforce.com platform, which we loved. So our implementation partner, Robert Garcia, who's actually in the room here today, said to us, well, rather than building all of this, maybe you might want to look at buying some apps. And I thought, well, I know what apps are relative to my phone, but what do you mean apps relative to this whole endeavor? So, you know, he popped up on the computer of the AppExchange, and we started looking at this, and I said, man, this is fantastic. Like, there's so many things out here that we could be using. And he said, okay, but before you get too crazy and start, you know, purchasing a bunch of stuff, what are we trying to solve for today? So, typical sales on the sales persona and start wanting to have everything all at the same time, but of course, you know, not being very focused. No offense to the sales folks in the room here. So what we did is we kind of started looking at where our gaps were, and we realized the gaps that we had relative to the product and quoting tool, which I later learned was a really snappy acronym, CPQ. We realized that since our products are so specialized and we have so many specifications and configurations required, we really needed to have a tool that would allow us to have that detail and be able to see what we were trying to do as we were building them. Furthermore, and probably one of the most important asks from our sales team, was that we had the ability to have quote versions. And what I mean by that is when our sales reps start out at the beginning of an opportunity, they may be thinking, okay, a customer is going to purchase a robot. Okay, very simple, you know, small purchase, capital expenditure, we're good to go. But as they start having conversations with potentially the CFO, supply chain officer, maybe some other folks in the institution, they realize maybe purchase isn't the right option for us. Maybe we need to look at a leasing option. Maybe their decision changes from having 5 years of maintenance purchase to 7 years. So we wanted to have the rep with that ability to have those quote versions in their bag at any point in time, so they could actually, you know, be in a conversation, engage selling time, which we all want to, you know, improve upon from a sales perspective, and allow them to actually continue those conversations because their time is very valuable in front of the customer. If they're not spending time in front of the customer, they're not closing deals. And from a customer perspective, we don't want to waste their time. We want them to actually be in the moment and present in terms of the deal and having it move forward. And finally, from a manufacturing perspective, it was really important that our team in the leadership role there could actually see the units they were needing to be producing. They could actually see a baseline configuration because in an example of a cabinet in a hospital room, there's a number of drawer configurations that cabinet could have. It could have 6 drawers, it could have 8 drawers, it could have deep drawers or narrow drawers. And we wanted to make sure that if they were building something to spec for a customer, they actually knew what they were building at any point in time. And prior to the introduction of Salesforce and Apttus, we really didn't have the ability to know if that deal changes from 20 cabinets to 10 cabinets to something else altogether. We wanted to make sure that they were on the front lines of defense. So by using both of those together, we were able to kind of have the best of both worlds. We were building and buying all at the same time. And you know, speaking as a shopper, it's always fantastic to buy as much as you can. Anyway, as far as our implementation of both kind of pieces of functionality, I think it's safe to say that a CEO is a very busy individual in a company, and I think all of you would probably be quick to say your CEO doesn't spend a lot of time talking about sales tools and the implementation of those tools. But I think it's worth noting that when you do come in early and under budget, that's probably going to get the implementation team a big shout out. So from the perspective of what we did cross-functionally, in the time that we needed to do it, I think it was really a great testament to the team that we had assembled. And while the positive press is really nice, and I think it fueled the team going forward. I think it was all about the results that helped us get to this point and get these this quote that you're seeing on the screen. So from a results perspective, the most important thing that I would say as far as the impact of the AppExchange for us is that we were able to increase sales efficiency. The most important place for a sales rep to be is in front of the customer. And we, as in our quest to become a world-class sales organization, we want to make sure that they're spending as much time engaged with the customer as possible. Not at home in their bunkers, not online, not having conversations with folks to try to improve deal approval. We want them in front of a customer. Secondly, we find that when they're spending more time in front of the customer, it leads to more wins, it leads to more sales. And I definitely can equate that to the ability to have the multiple versions of a quote that we've been able to acquire with our Aptus functionality. And finally, being able to see the true value of a deal by being able to see the units times the price and actually being able to build that up. I mean, that's just been so impactful to our business. Prior to the introduction of Salesforce.com and Aptus, what we would have as a field rep saying, yeah, I'm probably going to sell a robot, I'm probably going to sell 50 cabinets, and yeah, I think it's worth an estimate of, $2 million or, $3 million. It wasn't really grounded in a lot of fact. And while we would go through and obviously, verify these estimates, the ability to actually see that in a system, in a common tool, lends to the collaboration as well as the visibility that we didn't have prior to this. So I think, those two things solely alone are enough to kind of, propel us to the next level. But it really was the introduction of Salesforce.com and Aptus that has really allowed us, to kind of get to that next level. And I think from a business perspective, we're better. I think as a rep in doing their day-to-day function, they're better, they're more effective, they're more efficient. And I think that can only help us as we work with our customers to help them, perfect medication management and their delivery in their own organizations. It just lends itself to kind of a better continuum going forward. So. It's been a great ride. It's probably one of the best career moves I've ever been a part of as far as this implementation. So hopefully, as we continue on, we kind of have better things ahead. So it's been great. Thanks.
Awesome. So we heard so many stories today, really stories, things like gamification, things like sales effectiveness, configure price quote, all of these things that you can get from the AppExchange, and you can get them today. We have some time for questions, so if you have a question, raise your hand and I will walk the handheld mic over to you and then we can answer your question. Will you pass this down?
Good job, man. Good job.
Good morning. Just a basic question. So now I've heard of Aptus, and that's neat. How do I find out if they're the top player, or of the people who are in that space of CPQ, which are the 6 I should talk to? The App Store has become like the App Store. Mm-hmm. There are too many damn apps.
Yep. Go ahead, I'll. I don't know about that. I would say the most important thing that you want to do is have your list of requirements as far as what problems you're trying to solve. I mean, we definitely took the approach of we were going to build it ourselves because we just internally had that intestinal fortitude and thought, well, we can do it. And then as we started looking, as you did, and kind of got completely confused early on, we thought, my goodness, how do we kind of vet through all of these capabilities that everybody seems to offer, and it's only slightly different in terms of functionality. So I would say the first thing is identify your requirements, and then I would suggest having demos of each one of them, because that was something that really allowed us to see the technology and actually see the UI that we would be experiencing, the user interface for our teams. And then probably the third thing I would do is when you're looking at a CPQ vendor, I would bring in a sales rep and actually have them take a test drive or take a look at what they would be using, because if your environment is like ours where the sales reps are actually keying in their opportunities and their quotes, they have to be comfortable with it. And if it's just something that someone in finance or at a deal desk is going to do, you probably would have a different set of parameters, but from our perspective, the sales rep needed to weigh in on that decision. So. Mm-hmm.
Right? You say, make sure you get a demo from all of them.
Yes.
How do I get the list of them?
Sure. So did you start searching, or what were you looking for a specific thing? I'll tell you what. This is a really great question. I think I'm going to follow up with you. Let me take 2 minutes right after the end of this just so that we can allow for a couple more questions, and then I will happily follow up with you. Are there other questions from the field? Anybody other questions? Raise your hand. Here we go.
And in terms of the search, does your search always start in the AppExchange? I mean, where do you sort of start into the discovery process when you have a problem that you need to be solved and you're starting to look for a solution?
What we did is we always tried to build it first. And I guess I just come from a long line of pioneers in terms of our tech space. So what we tried to do is build first, and then we did go to the AppExchange. And then after attending a number of Dreamforces, gosh, I'm not at 8, but I'm at a couple, 4. What I would do is I would spend some time, networking amongst my peers and really just ask a lot of questions. And I think this time over the next couple days, I would use to kind of follow up with some individuals and ask about those technologies.
Yeah, ours is a little bit different because we try not to build it ourselves. So we do, start with the AppExchange. If there's a problem we're having, we definitely go out there and look and see if there's anything that there is available out there that might fit our needs.
I would follow up to say that maybe the first thing to consider is your internal skill set around that. So do you have a skill set, and do you have people whose time is really devoted to perhaps building something? If you do, then you already have those set of resources. And if you don't, the AppExchange makes a perfect sense in that regard, because it is the ability to, rather than having to build something yourself, to buy it and install it easily. Other questions?
Yeah, with most of the apps you've installed, a lot of them come with implementation support, or you can choose to forego that and self-implement. Just curious what you chose and why.
We chose to have help. And I think just based on the nature of how complicated and complex our sales cycle is, as well as our product line, it made sense to take part in the services that Apttus was providing for us.
I would agree with all the applications that we implemented. We didn't have necessarily the technical expertise inside to be able to bring those implementations up quickly. So we were in a learning process, and we did rely on the professional services of most of those.
Yeah, absolutely. Other questions? Other questions?
How important is the sort of the ecosystem of all the apps? In other words, as you're considering apps, we look to add one on, and then maybe 6 months add another one on. But how important is it to sort of look at that all of them in sort of this ecosystem in totality?
Well, we had a strategy and a roadmap of where we wanted to go. So you're absolutely right. You got to look at kind of what's your roadmap, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there, and which apps help you to get there. Because you don't want to buy something and then find I can buy something else that does both of those things for me. So it is important to kind of understand your strategy and where you want to go down the road.
From a technology standpoint, it also makes sense to look at really just the architecture of the app. So which objects are you affecting, and in which ways? When you look at all of the apps on the AppExchange, they have details around what actually gets installed. Do we have objects? Do we have fields? Do we have code? What are all those things? If you know that you have a level of complexity perhaps around accounts or opportunities, and then you're installing another app on top of that, always something to be considered. So look at the architecture as well, especially around things like code and objects. Other questions?
So the outcome of both of your stories was increased sales efficiency. Can you talk a little bit about how you measured it, before the tools that you implemented, and how you measured it afterwards?
What we did ahead of time, Excel spreadsheets galore. So what we did is we had a world-class sales organization survey. So there's a benchmark study that is done, and it lists all of the activities where sales reps should be spending their time. And after the session, I'm happy to share that with you. And what we did is we measured folks prior to the introduction of Salesforce.com. And then what we've been able to do, according to our sales process, is we actually have activities embedded into our opportunity, so we actually can tell if our sales reps are following their sales process. So as they go through and document their activities, I have a dashboard that just kind of pulls that information. So at any point in time, I can tell where they are relative to sales engagement, whether they are spending a lot of time in sales closure mode or sales facilitation, or whether someone is actually spending some time early on in training mode or something like that. So we've actually used the tool to kind of help us, measure those things.
Yeah, we did something similar. We did also survey our sales teams to see how much time they were spending on different activities, and then resurveyed them later at periodic times. We also were able to take on some of the efficiencies, like, for instance, how much time is it saved by using, say, DocuSign as electronic signature. We do it by estimating the amount of time they were spending initially to complete a signature, and then how much time afterward and we can measure that by how quickly those are coming back as well.
Also, there's survey apps on the AppExchange, just saying. Other questions? Going once.
When you are looking at a review on a listing on the AppExchange, how important are reviews, and what are some of the other indicators you look at in the AppExchange?
Reviews are very important, but there's also some shady reviews out there. For instance, we saw a number of apps that had, 100% positive ratings, which obviously not everybody likes everything. I mean, that's just common sense. So there is a little bit of that sniff test that we used. And as I said, we basically made a point of looking at each app prior to its purchase and inclusion into our instance of Salesforce. So there were a few that we actually added in that were, I'd call tester apps in a way, because there are some better products out there that really can support what we're trying to do. But as we were getting started, we kind of wanted, ones to have the training wheels on them to kind of get us going. So I'd say reviews are important.
Right, and we also utilize Gartner to help us evaluate application for our needs. So that's a really great tool in order to help you evaluate what your requirements are and who would best suit your organization.
Also, most apps come with a try it for free. Almost all of them, many apps come with a try it for free. Put that, if you have a sandbox, put that app in your sandbox, try it out. I think the one thing that people don't do is that they don't put it in front of the people that would be their end users, right? If you put it in front of your sales rep, if you put it in front of your sales VP, if you put it in front of the person who is the lowest common denominator of all the people, and they are fast and efficient and effective, I feel like you can feel confident just from that user interaction perspective. So don't be afraid to fail fast, right? Put it in there. If it doesn't work, take it out. It's not a problem. Other questions? Thank you so much for attending our session today. We really appreciate it. And thank you both to our speakers. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Beth and Diane, thank you guys. Have a great rest of your Dreamforce. There was so much stuff. We have the keynote of keynotes today, and we have some fantastic stuff. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your Dreamforce.